Yeah, it was a year or two ago, and they've slowly been buying more and more land, seeing more and more prime airplanes above you as opposed to Delta and United and things like that. So
So
it's
you
fun.
can you estimate sales based on the number of airplanes that are flying around?
Yeah, the airplanes and then the prime trucks. There's more prime trucks on the highway around here than most places, just because it's all going out to the rest of the country.
All right. Yeah, yeah. Um, it's one of the Amazon's initiatives, right, to drive sales and then increase and take more control over the shipping, obviously, right? So okay, great. So we have YouTube live now running. Perfect. Well then, let's dive right into it. So welcome again to this new episode of Sellics Thursday Live. Sellics Thursday Live is a weekly show that we do every Thursday, in which we invite Amazon industry experts to discuss strategies and tactics on how to successfully sell on Amazon. Generally speaking, we see three ways how you can be successful or how you can drive sales on Amazon. You have organic traffic on Amazon. You have PPC traffic or advertising traffic on Amazon. And then you have the third part, which is external traffic, or I always refer to it as external traffic. So external traffic essentially is generating traffic outside of Amazon in places like Facebook or Google or your email list or wherever you want to generate traffic outside of Amazon, in order to then send this traffic to your Amazon listing in order to generate sales on Amazon. And so last time we spoke about DSP on Amazon, which is kind of retargeting, which is to a certain degree between Amazon advertising and external traffic. And today I'm really excited to talk about an external traffic topic, which is essentially how to use Google to drive sales on Amazon. And I feel that this is a topic that is not talked about too much, right? I think that there's a lot of attention on Amazon advertising, but there's not a lot of discussion about external traffic and specifically Google, and then how to drive traffic from Google to Amazon. And this is quite surprising because Google obviously is a very strong brand. They have a ton of traffic. And so if you can use them to drive sales on Amazon, then this is a good opportunity. So using Amazon and Google in parallel is a common setup for many brands, because they have many sales channels next to Amazon, like their own shop. But the question is, can brands use Google as well if they don't own their own shop, right? If they just have Amazon. And so that's one of the questions that we want to tackle today. And the other question is essentially, well, what are the synergies that you have from using both Amazon and Google? My guest today is Brian. Brian from a Amazon agency called Amify. Brian McDonald is VP of Strategy and Advertising at Amify. He leads advertising strategy at Amify, both on Amazon and off Amazon, which is why he's the perfect guest for us today. And he also oversees the creative department. So Brian, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to be here, particularly, excited to talk about how we can kind of break down channel silos and how we make all the different channels work together. I think if you asked people that worked with me in the past, they would tell you that I hate silos and I try to take learnings from one place and apply them other places. Take learnings from Google, apply them to Amazon, and take things from social and apply them to Google. So yeah, excited to talk more about how we can use all the data from all the sources to make everybody smarter.
Yeah, that's, we're excited to learn from your insights. Just for the audience to have some context where you draw your conclusions from. So you work at Amify, an Amazon agency. What kind of customers do you manage? Are those primary sellers, vendors? Are those large multinational brands, small resellers? Like what is the audience that you're working with, and where you're applying those strategies that we talk about today successfully as well?
Yep. Yeah. So at Amify in particular, we help brands take more control of their Amazon presence by focusing mostly on 3P sellers, where we are managing more of the sales process. We are in control of pricing, in control of content, in control of promotions, and can ultimately drive more profit and more revenue for our clients. And we work with a wide range. We're not specific to any industry or category or client size. We work with a lot of health and beauty clients, a lot of apparel, a lot of footwear, a lot of CPG clients. So good range of clients that we're helping provide an end-to-end turnkey solution. So we do everything from inventory and logistics management to creative and content for Amazon. for all of the advertising on Amazon and off Amazon that comes with that, and then the analytics that comes with that. And particularly the analytics that's really interesting to me and get excited about is the cross-channel analytics, taking data from one place and seeing how it affects something else. So the clients that benefit the most from us have a DTC site that they're selling on. They have some data, and they either want to launch on Amazon as a 3P seller or optimize that presence and better understand what kind of shoppers are going to Amazon first versus their own site. What can I learn from people, their purchase journey, right? Are they purchasing on Amazon first and then going over to the DTC site? And that's why it's so important to take into account Google, because Google is often the starting point for a DTC landing page, and Amazon often the starting point for an Amazon product page starting point. So that's a little bit about
nice.
Amify. So.
Yeah. Okay. So full service solution with a strong focus on well, not just Amazon, but essentially everything to drive online sales. Essentially, right? If I can summarize this, so that's very exciting. I'm very interested in hearing what's coming. So just some housekeeping, guys. If you do have any questions, as always, feel free to post them in the chat or in the Q&A box. We will try to answer the questions already during the session, but if for sure at the end we will have the time to answer all of them. So feel free to post your questions, and then also there is a recording of this that will be available on YouTube. So if you have to leave early, you will receive this afterwards through email. So let's then jump right into it, Brian. So obviously Google consists of two parts. There's Google Ads, all sorts of different ads, and then there's Google Organic. So I guess you can use both to drive sales on Amazon, but let's maybe start with the advertising side, right? So how can you use Google Ads to drive traffic to your products on Amazon?
Yeah, so I think it would be helpful maybe first just to level set on what types of things we're talking about. So if I'm going to share my screen real quick and just take you through a Google SERP or search engine results page, so we can make sure everybody's on the same page. So these ads at the top with ad are mostly what we're talking about today. These are Google ads or AdWords. I still say AdWords because it's ingrained into my brain. These ads on the right are PLAs or shopping ads. This is not what we are talking about. So this is what you would use to drive traffic to your DTC site and other tactics, but you can't necessarily use those to drive traffic to Amazon. So we're talking specifically about these main ad units here. You can see in this example, we have a brand advertising at the top, and then the second list ad there is actually an ad for Kroger, a big grocer here in the States, and Old Spice is running that ad for this particular product. And I found that interesting because on a similar query, but a different query, you can see Old Spice also advertising and sending traffic to Walmart in this ad. So you can see this is an example of how Old Spice is using Google search to drive traffic to specific retailers, not necessarily to their brand website. And back to this search engine results page, you can start to see here's an organic listing going to Amazon. So this goes right to a product detail page. So we'll talk a little bit about how to use that and how to take advantage of that space that you can take up. You can see it pulls in the rating and other things from Amazon. And so just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page for what we're talking about. So we've got paid AdWord links, organic links in Google, where Google is ranking Amazon pages, and then the shopping ads, which are a separate entity.
Yeah, that's very helpful. I think specifically the distinction to Google Shopping, because Google Shopping has been quite in the news recently, right? So I think that's an important distinction. Okay, so then let me ask you more specifically: how can you use AdWords or Google Ads to drive traffic to your products on Amazon?
Yeah, so I think it can be some of the reasons why you would do this is because sometimes you won't have brand volume on Amazon, right? People won't be searching your brand if you're launching. You need to use Google to capture your brand demand and where people are searching for you. There are also some much more interesting targeting capabilities in Google than Amazon from a geographic perspective or a device perspective. So that can actually help you narrow down your targeting a little more focused than what you can do on Amazon. And how you do that, you can send traffic, setting up a Google Ads account and an ad just like you normally would, and you can send traffic to Amazon product pages, to Amazon brand stores, technically to search result pages, to all kinds of places on Amazon. Typically, we recommend you take your Google ads and you send people to a landing page that is in between Google and Amazon. We do that for a couple of reasons. The first is conversion rate on Amazon is a huge signal for organic ranking, right? So we don't want to send a bunch of maybe not unqualified, but slightly less interested shoppers to Amazon. If they're just exploring or just researching, we want to send traffic there that's going to convert at a very high rate. So we use this landing page as a way to filter out some of the less interested people, maybe educate people more on the brand, provide some content to get them excited. And then once they click through, they'll be much more likely to purchase. Amazon will see that as, oh my gosh, these people are coming in from outside Amazon. That diversification is important to me as Amazon, and they're converting. So I'm going to rank this product a lot higher for the keywords that we've optimized it for. That landing page can also do a couple of other things. While there are some tracking parameters, or you would think of these as UTM parameters in the Google and GA space, there are some of those things we can append to URLs for traffic we send into Amazon, particularly when you're sending traffic to a brand store. But once you do that, there's no more data, really. There's no third-party pixeling. There's no GA tag that you can put on Amazon. So we lose a lot of data around what those people are, what they were doing. So that landing page helps us. We can put all the third-party cookies we want for now on that landing page. We can put different type of tracking pixels. We can build retargeting pools based on people who seem to be interested in that product. Which you can't do directly through Amazon. You can even set up like an email capture, right? So that landing page, maybe they're not ready to buy now, but maybe you can provide them a coupon, 20% off, give us your email address. Now you have an email address. You have the ability to retarget them. You have the ability to email them later. And they're super interested in buying now because they have a 20% off coupon. So there are all these things that this landing page can do. The one caveat I would say to this landing page is if you have proven keywords that are converting really well, don't distract people with the landing page. It's okay to send people right to Amazon if you have proven that I know this is going to perform better than the average conversion rate, and you can just send them right there.
Right, because I mean it's one extra step in between, right?
Yep.
And
why get away, right?
Yeah. And so this landing page, do you typically how do you build this? I mean, is this part of the store, the own web shop that brands have, and then you just create a landing page, or is it already the product page of the store, and then you just send it forward to Amazon? So how do you typically do that?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you want to do with that page. So if it's strictly a filter to get people out of the way that aren't going to convert and get those people that are going to convert to Amazon as quickly as possible, there's all kinds of great services like Landing Cube, Instapage, where you can go up for relatively cheap, set up a page in an hour or so, have it running, and you're good to go. If you really want to use it as a way to build retargeting pools, to capture emails, to cookie people, to use your own tracking pixels, that's often a better solution to build it off of your DTC site as a kind of a closeted landing page, because then it's connected to your analytics and it's part of your system for all the data that you want to gather. That also allows, if you're building it on your own site, a little bit more potentially personalization, right? You could use Google Optimize or something to say like, okay, these people coming from these keywords, I want to see this content. These other keywords, I want to show them this content. If they're on a mobile device, maybe I want to get them to Amazon as quickly as possible, right? I have a hypothesis that as Amazon adds more ads to the desktop experience, right? You can't hit a product landing page without seeing 4 or 5 different ad units, just distracting people. On mobile, on that same product, you can see the image, swipe down, and before you see any other ad, you get the buy button, right? So maybe my data shows that I should be using this landing page to really prioritize mobile traffic. Do a device bid optimizer in AdWords, so we're sending lots of mobile traffic. That mobile experience is perfect for them, and we get them over to Amazon, and that helps our conversion rate. So all kinds of things you can do with that landing page.
And so if I'm a brand, right, I already have my store, maybe on Shopify, right? I have my DTC store, right, or page, and I generate traffic from Google to my store. Why would I then send this traffic to Amazon where I need to pay another 15% in commission? Why would I not just check out directly on my own store?
Yeah, it's a good question. Some people, I mean, the easy answer is many people just prefer to buy on Amazon for the ease of purchase, right? Fewer clicks. They're Prime fanatics, and most of their life purchases are from Amazon. So there is that audience, and actually, our data suggests that where we do have data from clients of Amazon and their Shopify, there are people that even third, fourth, fifth purchase, they're still going back to Amazon to purchase that. They're not necessarily crossing over to the DTC site. So we don't want to ignore that audience that will never shop anywhere but Amazon. For some products where you have either a refillable unit or a subscribable product, it would make sense to eventually transition them over to the DTC site. And we have some data that can help do that. We can use some kind of loose matching between what we get from Amazon and what we get from a Shopify or a BigCommerce, and to create those audiences and to start to market to them, to pull them over to the DTC site. So it really depends, as many topics in this space, it depends on the product and the category for where it would make sense.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially the main reason to then send it to Amazon is that the conversion rate will typically be higher on Amazon than in the own store. At least maybe for the first purchase. If there's repeat purchases, then maybe not. Do you, in your experience, you also see positive impact on the organic ranking on Amazon from sending traffic to Amazon and increasing sales velocity there?
That's a good question. My immediate reaction to that is it will not have a direct effect on your Amazon properties ranking better in Google. I think what it will impact is ranking in Amazon.
Right.
And potentially, let's say you're on page 3 or 4 of an Amazon search results. It's possible that Google isn't even crawling those pages or paying attention to those products. So maybe Google isn't indexing those pages in Google. If you were to rank up to page 1, there's a much more strong likelihood that Google's going to notice that ASIN and say, hey, I'm going to pull that over and show that in Google. So there might be an indirect impact, but I would hesitate to say that the sales velocity would have a direct impact.
Not on Google, but it will have on Amazon.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
So, which would be another reason to send traffic to Amazon and not your own store, because you will have the side effect that you also increase the organic ranking on Amazon and then generate incremental sales that otherwise would not have happened, right? I guess so. For every sale that you generate from external traffic, you generate 0.2 sales from organic additional traffic also. Okay, that's been very helpful. We already have a couple of questions. So Andreas was asking, would you say that using Google AdWords to drive Amazon sales makes more sense for specific categories?
I would, for sure. Now, to tell you, here are the industries that work well, and here are the industries that you should avoid, that's a little more difficult, but that's part of the planning and research that shops like Amify help you with, in terms of going out and saying, okay, this seems to be a space. There's an incredible, let's say in this use case, there's an incredible long tail of keywords that aren't being advertised or aren't being capitalized by the category. Let's go out and bid as little as possible, get all of that long tail and get it over to Amazon and or to a landing page and get them to convert. In other categories where super competitive products like laundry detergent and things like that, the search engine result page that you saw that I showed earlier, the men's hair paste, that's incredibly competitive. Everybody's fighting for the top 400 pixels of space. It's going to be really expensive. You've got big brands like P&G and Kroger and Walmart all showing up there. So maybe it doesn't make sense there. So there is some, just like any good AdWords campaign, there is some pre-work to say, yes, there seems to be an opportunity here where we can peel off this section or these topics or these keywords and send them to Amazon.
Okay. Cool. So Soumya just had another question. She wasn't sure whether she understood your answer about the DTC store. So let's say Shopify versus the landing page. Which one is better? So my understanding was the landing page is easier to do. It's faster to set up and it's great if you just want to filter the people that will not convert on Amazon. Whereas creating this landing page on a DTC store essentially is better because you can retarget, you can acquire more data essentially that you can use later on. Is that fair?
That's exactly right. Right. So let's say you have a really, really good CRM program, really good email campaign that you send to customers. Uh, that might be more. That might be providing you more business value by sending them to your DTC site, where you can set that up and get them into that cycle. The lifetime value of that person might warrant some of the extra development costs and extra, costs to set that up. If you don't have any of that, if you're not running a lot of extra programs, if you don't have very advanced analytics on your DTC site, and this is strictly to provide if the primary objective is to drive sales velocity on Amazon and not necessarily build out your first-party data and analytics capabilities, then maybe one of these standalone systems like an Instapage would be, or Landing Cube would be more appropriate.
Okay. Cool. So I hope this clarifies yeah, the question. Now, obviously, so I think this is clear, right? So you can send it directly to Amazon. The better option is probably to have a landing page somewhere in between, either through your own shop or through well, a dedicated landing page provider, and then you don't just have the benefit of driving traffic on Amazon. You can also do retargeting, capture the email, increase conversion rate, and a bunch of other positive consequences from this. Now, one of the big challenges, obviously, is that, well, you have Google, which is a big brand, and then you have Amazon, right? And well, more or less, those can be considered as walled gardens, right? So they keep track of their own data, and they don't necessarily share the data. Now, tracking a user from one platform to the other, and so Kara was also asking this. Well, how can you track this? So, is there a way to track efficiency of your Google ads when it comes to Amazon? Or how can you measure the impact of your Google ads on Amazon sales?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to do that, and I will put aside for the moment some of the more some of the alpha programs, right, in terms of Google Ads Data Hub, Data Ads Hub, flipping those, Amazon's Data Clean Room. Both companies are investing a ton in trying to capture and get advertisers to say, yes, I'm going to go all in with you. You're going to do my attribution. I'm going to give you all of my data. You figure it out and tell me what's working, you Amazon or you Google. So I'll put that aside. That's a webinar for another time because we could talk for days about that. Some of the specific tactics that we can use would be in a brand store. So if you're sending traffic to a brand store, if you've got a really great brand store that seems to be driving a lot of traffic out to product detail pages and a lot of conversions, sending traffic direct to a brand store, you can put, Amazon allows you to create a tag that you append to the end of the destination URL or finery URL or the URL that you're using to send traffic to Amazon. And then in brand insights, if you go in to see the insights from your brand store, you can actually see those tags show up. So that's one way with sending to a brand store. You can see what kind of product, what pages they're going to after that, how much sales are being driven by that specific link to the brand store. Now, there are some limits there. Again, I think Amazon limits you to like 100 of those tags that would actually show up in the brand insights, and it's a little clunky, the interface back there. So you're not going to be able to, like in Google Analytics, go and dive in and put a bunch of dimensions and things like that. But it's a good, nice starting point. Social promo codes are another way that we can do this within Amazon. So a social promo code is you can create a custom promotion that comes with a code and a custom search results page on Amazon. So you can use that. You'll get a specific URL that you can use in social ads or search ads, and users clicking through will hit this page with all of the products that apply to that promotion. The promotion is automatically applied to their cart at checkout, and then you can download a report for all of these social promo codes to say, okay, so you technically could set up 10 different social promo codes, go out and put those on your 10 different search ads and see which one is working the best. There's then the obvious kind of surface level things of looking at things like AdWords click-through rate and conversion rate, and trying to use that to inform what you're doing on Amazon. But those are some of the tags. And then finally, Amazon attribution, still in beta.
Yeah.
But it's kind of before you're ready to dive into their clean room scenario, Amazon attribution can, through lots of different tracking tags, start to give you a sense of what impact different channels are having: search, social, email, everything. There's probably, I mean, like all attribution platforms, everyone is overpromising what is possible. And so just go into that with a little bit of caution and know that it's probably plus or minus 20% on what you're seeing in there. But if you really have an advanced omni-channel program sending high volume to Amazon, that's a good place to start as well, that Amazon attribution.
And so is there, of all the methods that you described, is there any method that gives you the precise sale that happened from a click on an ad? So can you really tie, well, this click on this ad led to this sale on Amazon?
The easy answer is no. The slightly longer, more difficult answer is if you have really good DTC data and enough volume on Amazon, we've developed the ability to match that data up so we can say that this person, let's see, yes, this person purchased on Amazon, connect that back to the email that you have from your Shopify site. And then, how would we do this? If you emailed them, for example, you could know that, yes, that person got the email, clicked through, and then purchased without actually getting that PII from Amazon. That's, again, probably, I'm just scratching the surface of what is a very complex matching process. So I hate to lead people astray because I'm sure that's going to trigger a lot more questions of how that works. But the short answer is no. For every click, there is no way to say, yes, this click drove that. You could do it by channel and ad group. It's really depends on how granular you want to get with these social promo codes with a coupon code, right? If you create a coupon code and use that maybe in an AdWords promotion extension. So there's all these extensions you can add to the bottom of a Google ad. If you did a promotion extension there with that specific coupon code, you would know that ad drove that sale.
I mean, is it even necessary? Obviously, I think it would be great, right, to have the exact tracking, but is it necessary?
I would argue no. There is plenty of analysis and optimization you can do, knowing channel, ad type, ad group, keyword that was driving that query or that purchase. So I would argue no. It's probably you've probably hit diminishing returns at that point if you're trying to get down to every click sales.
Yeah. So essentially, what you're getting is with the brand story and also the coupon code is more an aggregated number in the sense of this campaign has generated $5,000 in revenue. This campaign has generated $7,000 in revenue, but you don't get the exact split. Well, that's the exact tried ASIN that was purchased, right? That's great. Obviously, one idea that's discussed from time to time in the industry is this idea of using an affiliate code. Right, because that would kind of give it to you. So you sign up for the Amazon affiliate program, and you add your own affiliate tracking to the ad, so that in some way you also get your. I mean, it has two advantages, right? One is you can have the tracking, and two, you also get paid from Amazon the affiliate commission, which you can use to subsidize your AdWords essentially. What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, so I've been an Amazon affiliate for 20 years now or something. So
wow, that's very long since the early days.
Huh? I latched on pretty early to that 6% commission.
Nice.
And so I've tried a lot of different things to try to game that system. I would caution people against being, if you are the brand or the advertiser, signing up for an affiliate and driving your own traffic back to your brand with that affiliate code. It's a good way to raise some red flags with Google or with Amazon, and Amazon's getting more and more aggressive with monitoring things like that. So I would probably caution against that.
Yeah.
Now that's different from using an affiliate network, right? Going out to CJ or using an influencer network and they're all using their own affiliate codes, perfectly fine. Right. But yeah, using your own in that cycle, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's technically against the TOS of the affiliate program. I think I haven't read them, but I do think it's technically against it. All right, but an option, right? That I know some people are using, right? I think it's at your own risk whether you want to do this or not. Has advantages until you get caught. then the advantage ends abruptly. Okay, let me see. So Farhan was asking best strategy for a budget split between Google and Amazon. Do you have any recommendations, any rule of thumbs, or you say 80-20, 50-50? Can you give any recommendations, or is that very individual?
Yeah, I think with search in particular, and AdWords people, I think would back me up here. I think you don't need the big, 5-figure budgets to test whether something is working or not. There's no minimum spend like you get with a programmatic platform. So in general, we would start with Amazon sponsored product ads, that search ad unit, maximize that, make sure we're capturing every existing drop of demand on Amazon, and then go over and start planning for an AdWords campaign. The primary use for these AdWords campaigns or social campaigns or any of these off Amazon campaigns is for a product launch and to drive sales velocity. And so unless you have maximized everything on Amazon and you're really using Google for demand generation and upper funnel acquisition or brand awareness, you don't need that much money, in my opinion, to go out and run on Google. You also get data back much quicker on Google than you do in Amazon. So you can eliminate a lot of the waste, right? You can try something, go back in an hour or two, you can see what's working, optimize, let it run. Whereas Amazon, as much as I try to refresh and make the data come in quicker, it doesn't often come in quick enough to do that. So you can be a lot more efficient, in my opinion, with what you do in AdWords, figuring out what works and optimizing that. Plus, if you're going after those long tails keywords in Google, the CPCs can be so cheap that it usually doesn't. So I hesitate to give a percentage because it depends category and product. But it typically is much more heavily weighted on Amazon than a Google program.
Okay, so it's not 80% Google, 20% Amazon. It's probably more than 50% on Amazon.
Yes, I would say. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. And then so there was another question from Francie saying that she has 6 ASIN, makes 200K a year. Does it make sense in that scenario to use Google, or is it too early / too small? I mean, is there any, let's rephrase this. Is there any moment when it starts making sense? Does it always make sense? Does it make sense at the launch? Does it make sense at the end of a product lifecycle? Like when is the right time to start with Google Ads?
Yeah. So a couple different thoughts there. If these are relatively new products, not very established, let's say less than 10 or 20 reviews, then there's two thoughts here. One, you could use Google to drive traffic to that product because they're not actually seeing the star rating in the Google ad before they click through. And you can use that landing page to get them even more excited and kind of make them blind or ignore the star rating once they get to the page. So for a launch, Google can be helpful to do that. On the other hand, you have to pay really close attention to the data, because if the few reviews or few star ratings are hurting conversion, then I would focus mostly on Amazon and ignore Google until you can get everything as optimized as possible on Amazon. So if these 6 ASINs in this case are making 200,000 a year, if that's been running for 6-12 months and you feel like you've maximized all of the demand and you're not just capturing brand volume, but you're capturing some category terms, you've got sponsored product and sponsored brand ads and sponsored display and sponsored video and all the different units, you've really maximized Google for an established brand, then yeah, maybe I'd go out to Google and see what else I can capture. Maybe there's another, maybe 20% of the category search is happening on Amazon and 80% is on Google, and it's probably flipped for specific product searches. Right? Somebody's searching a specific product, that's probably happening on Amazon. So let's capture that. Once we've done that, let's go out and catch the broader category demand out on Google. So it depends on the maturity of your products and what where you need to see growth.
Yeah. Okay. That's it's always difficult to give general rules, right? Because there are so many different situations, so many different companies, different product categories and all of this, right? But I think, would you say that, I mean, my general recommendation is always like test, right? So just give it a try and see if it works. And so the advantage of this is that you don't need a lot of budget to get started, right? I mean, that's essentially, you need a little budget for AdWords, you need a little budget to create a landing page if you don't have a DTC site. And then you're ready to go, essentially. So it's something that can be tested with a low budget. And so I guess my recommendation would be, okay, well, just go out and give it a try.
Yeah, and that's another good point, the testing. So you can use Google AdWords to test things like copy, right? The keywords that you're using in the ads, in the title, in the description. If you find that there is a phrase that really works well, maybe for a launch that does inform, it's worth going out early and testing in Google to use that insight to inform your product title on Amazon to help the click-through rate when people do see, especially some of those early words on mobile where it cuts off after 50 or so characters. Getting some of those key phrases that work in AdWords into your product title early on could be a nice reason to use AdWords early. And there's all kinds of different tests that you can do on Google, pretty quick and cheap, and then apply it to the scale.
Without risking any damage to Amazon, essentially, right? So
exactly. Yep.
you're not risking to get hurt. I also know sellers that they set up the landing page already while the products are still being manufactured and is still on its way to the warehouse. They send traffic, they make people sign up for it, sign up for the newsletter, essentially, like send me an email whenever the product is there. So they already generate demand, and then once the product is live on Amazon, they send out the blast to all the people that sign up beforehand, and so you have immediate demand right out of the gate, essentially, right? Which I think is a pretty good good way. There are still some questions, and I want to get to those questions in a few minutes, but there was one important question that I wanted to ask you, Brian, before that wasn't asked by the audience yet. It's you've been talking about silos and how you don't like silos historically, and so that you try to break down those silos. So, are there any synergies from using Google data and Amazon data? Or, I mean, how can you use Google data to also drive Amazon, and maybe also vice versa? So. Yeah, I mean, are you getting in the same format? So what are the synergies essentially behind this?
Yep. So the synergies can be varied. If you're using AdWords as part of a launch, like I said, you can get data a lot quicker. And so if you're running the same keywords in AdWords and Amazon, you're going to get performance data a lot quicker from Google than you do on Amazon. You can check back without having to wait an entire day to see if that keyword worked in Amazon. You can use that data and say like, oh, this keyword is tanking. I've spent a ton of money and it's not working in the last 2 hours. Let's pause it over on Amazon without having to wait and wake up the next morning and think, I just lost all that money on that keyword. So that's a synergy that you can create. I mentioned testing copy across both. That's pretty fun. Especially you get a couple characters in sponsored brand ads. So using things that work in AdWords is a fun way to create a synergy. I mentioned price testing, right? There's promo extensions. There's also price extensions in AdWords. And so if you're just launching and you have no idea what to price this product at, and you've gone out and done some analysis on Amazon, you say, okay, everybody's kind of in this range, but I don't know, from an econometric perspective, what people would actually pay, where the price sensitivity hits. You can actually run potentially a test in Google early on. You need a lot of volume to get to an insight pretty quick here. But if you had 3 price points that you wanted to A/B test, over a week and see which one generated more interest, that can be a good way to use Google data to inform your Amazon pricing. Google also has a ton of nice dimensions in AdWords and analytics where you can look at things like device, time of day, geography. And we can't target geographically in Amazon, but it can still help inform either your AdWords campaign, the device. If you see everybody searching for this product is on mobile, that can inform your creative decisions around A+ content and titles, making sure all the keywords are up close to the front. The time of day, if everybody's shopping at night, you want to make sure your Amazon, your Google data will tell you time of day analysis. Amazon doesn't. And so all you can really see is whether you're running out of budget every day or not. But if you know that if people are shopping at night and overnight, then you can make sure you're setting up either using Sellics or a tool to do that day parting, or making sure that you have enough budget to last through the end of the day, or have somebody kind of manually go out and activate it at noon.
No, better use Sellics. Great day parting feature that we offer. Okay. Any other tips? That's been super insightful. Thank you for sharing this. Right. So essentially using Google as a platform to learn a lot faster and to learn things that you couldn't learn on Amazon. That's great. Anything that you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think in terms of your point of breaking down silos, and if we talk about how we can influence what a Google search result page looks like. I think, there's lots of things to consider in terms of, okay, if I've got a paid ad unit, then maybe I have my DTC site, then how do I make sure the Amazon links take up the rest of that search engine results page. So I'm pushing down maybe a competitor, maybe a bad review from a blogger, things like that I don't want on the search engine results page for Google. Thinking about how to make sure that that listing appears really nice. So you use your brand store, that's a nice link to get. Then you have your product detail page, that's a nice link to get. Thinking about parent and child ASIN structure. And if you really need to, if for some reason you have the business objective of you want 5 spots on a Google search results for your Amazon products, maybe that's 5 parents instead of 1 parent and children, child ASINs, because we've seen Google is more likely to rank the parent than a bunch of variations. So there's that consideration to make. So when you kind of zoom out and look at the Google search engine results page, thinking about the product title and how that's going to show up next to your DTC title. Also considering that your star rating from Amazon is going to pull into Google. So making sure that you have great reviews so that that's not distracting people and they're going off and searching something else. So there's lots of architecting and kind of crafting of that Google search results page that we can do and use kind of the data from both platforms to inform the other.
And so here, I mean, you just said something very interesting. You said Google is more likely to pick up a parent ASIN than a child ASIN. I guess that's for the organic ranking.
Yeah, that's anecdotally what we're seeing, right? So if you have if you have 5 variations of a product, you're probably going to get one of those in a Google search result page. Now that's not 100% of the time, right? Google or Amazon would never tell us definitively whether that's happening, but in general, we're seeing parent ASINs show up more than child variations.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I mean, so we're touching the organic side of things, right? The organic side of Google. And I mean, it's a whole new topic. We talked so far. We only talked about ads on Google, right? Not the organic side of Google. Is there anything you want to add to ads? Anything that we missed so far before we move on to the organic side?
Yeah, I think I may have just inadvertently covered it in my last kind of follow-up, but crafting all of those listings and making sure you're considering not just what a page title will look like on Amazon, but what it will look like on Google. And thinking about, for this specific query, maybe I want in Google, maybe I do want Amazon to show up first. So I'm going to include that query in my page title so that when people see it in Google, they click through because maybe that's an Amazon exclusive, right? Or I don't offer that, or I'm out of stock or something like that on my DTC site. On the other side, sometimes there are things that you could put into your page title on your website that you either can't or don't want to put into your Amazon title. And so, you've got 2 blue lines on Google. You can kind of craft those two blue lines to include the type of keywords that you want in the order that you want, kind of tell a story as someone quickly scrolls by to get all of the keywords and all of the messages that you want into that view to try to get them to stop scrolling and click.
Yeah. I mean, okay, cool. Look, so I'll let me go through to a few questions that came in. So let's see, a bunch of questions today. Thank you guys for bringing all of this up. Anchor was asking, would you recommend using Google when Amazon is not fully optimized?
Yeah, a good question. So, and I hate to keep leading in with this, but it depends. So if you are launching a product and you don't have a lot of reviews yet, I would consider that not fully optimized, but that's not a reason to not use Google because you can use that landing page you can use an optimized landing page to kind of offset the experience when they get to Amazon because you've already built them up and they're ready to buy. They don't care what the A+ content looks like. So for a launch, I would say not, especially when you're spending relatively small amounts of budget on AdWords or Google. So there's relatively low risk in sending them to a non-optimized page. Now, in general, if we zoom out and I need to make a blanket statement around optimized or non-optimized page, I would always say, make sure you've got a good experience on Amazon before you start paying to send traffic to that page, right? So that's the general statement. But there are scenarios where it would make sense to send the traffic regardless because you need that sales velocity in order to rank. And if you wait for your Amazon ads or Amazon to just decide to put you in a first page sandbox and see what happens, you might not ever make it there. And so these off Amazon or off channel ads can help increase that sales velocity. And there is, I saw another question around like, does Amazon like this offsite traffic? Is that diversification helpful? I will say there is some data to suggest And you'll get all kinds of opinions on this if you go way deep into the forums that people like me hang out in. All kinds of debates around whether Amazon actually likes this or not. But I will say there is some data to suggest that a diversified set of traffic coming to a landing page, if it's converting, does help increase the organic rank. That's not 100%. Don't email me when that doesn't work. But I can almost certainly say that it doesn't hurt. The only thing that would hurt is if you're sending a lot of traffic that isn't converting. And that's true of anything. That's true of on Amazon advertising, off Amazon advertising. So that's really the only downside. I think there's only upside, personally.
So is there any, so obviously it's thinking about a lot of traffic that's not converting. What would you say is a bad setup where you wouldn't recommend trying Google Ads? So where is it unlikely that you will see those conversions happening?
Yeah, so a bad use case would be you go out to AdWords and Google Trends and Ubersuggest and all these keyword platforms. You've got this great keyword list, and you find that this category term has 60,000 searches a month, and that is exactly the category that I fit in, right? Men's hair styling.
Right.
And you get really excited about that volume and that demand, and then you go out to Sellics or another tool to do some keyword research, and you see, well, that same keyword only has 500 searches a month on Amazon. And so then your brain starts working, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna put all my money. All the demand is in Google. I've got to get this traffic from Google to Amazon. And you got a brand new page with no, this is an extreme example, obviously, but a brand new page, no reviews, and you end up spending a ton of money trying to convert mid or upper funnel searchers over to Amazon. They're just not ready to buy yet. So again, if we're worried about conversion rate, we want to be targeting the terms that have high purchase intent. We don't want to get people that are doing informative or navigational or educational searches. Most of our clients' products, if you do some keyword research, there is already keyword volume on Google for product on Amazon or product Amazon, right? People are
that's
searching.
That's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great way to use it. Best men's hairstyling product, tons of volume, and you're going to kill your Amazon conversion rate by trying to send.
Okay, so essentially, if the more direct you send traffic to Amazon, the clearer the purchase intent needs to be in the keyword. The lower funnel keyword. Sorry, my English is my baby kept me awake this night. My English is not at its best today. So essentially, the more direct you send traffic to Amazon, the lower funnel you kind of should try to advertise. Is that generally true? I mean, would you say that there is a trend that expensive products are also less likely to be bought this way? So you buy a product for $1,500, you just click on a Google ad, you go to Amazon, you buy it right away. So whenever, let's say, the journey is rather long, which is the case for expensive products, then this doesn't work too well either.
Yeah, I think it requires a lot more education and marketing before you get them to Amazon. So we're getting ready to launch a product that is several $1,000s for one of our clients. And yeah, one of the things we need to consider is how much do we need to educate these people before they come? Because it's kind of an obscure product. And so in that case, we might do a lot of social advertising, right? With video ads or YouTube. I saw a question about YouTube ads. Maybe that's a great place to run some pre-roll, build up the brand story and build some affinity for the product before you send them to Amazon. Because you're right, the higher the price point, right, you can kind of naturally assume that conversion rate is going to be a little lower. And so then it comes down to the storytelling before you get them that page.
Okay. So the longer the traffic, the longer the journey, essentially, the more nurturing people need, right? And so the more it makes sense to have a landing page in between where you can nurture people. Okay, fantastic. Then we had another question. If you're ranking on the third or fourth page, like you said, and you're not driving enough traffic to Amazon through your proven keywords, but cannot use the landing page system, would a competitive ad campaign be worth the extra cost?
So you're on the third or fourth page, you can't
You can use the landing page. So third or fourth page, I guess, from on Amazon, I guess.
Yeah. So I think in that case,
or let's say competitive strategies, competitive campaigns in general. Like, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah. I think if you can't use the landing page and it's one of these products where you definitely need to kind of prime, no pun intended, but prime the shopper to buy and provide them with the right storytelling, there may be different ad units outside of AdWords that we would work with. Potentially, like I said, maybe it's a video ad, a pre-roll ad, maybe it's a Pinterest ad or an Instagram ad where we can share a little bit more about the product so that when they click through, they buy. I think we also see Amazon will test your product early on, and so they'll give you a chance, just like Google does occasionally, right? You launch a site and they'll say, hey, there's a new site. I recognize what it's about. I'm going to give it a chance. If people click through, if people convert, then I'll keep it there, and it's good. That's one of the way Amazon and Google learn about these things, and so having a monitoring tool in place where you're monitoring your organic rank so that you can be alerted when, oh my gosh, today we're ranked number 10. That's probably only going to be for a few hours. Ramp up advertising for that keyword on sponsored product and sponsored brand ads to get our sales velocity and maintain that rank. So that's when it comes down, like you have to be kind of on top of it. Not kind of, very, very much on top of it to capitalize on those moments and send some traffic that way. If you can't, if none of those things are true and you're just stuck on page 3, well, I'm not even going to go down the gray or black hat route because that's going to get me in trouble. But
there are things you can do.
Yeah. But we don't ever recommend those. There's just too much risk. It was pretty easy back in the day, a couple of years ago, to get away with that, but not so much anymore.
Things have changed. Okay, and then there was another question about just the expertise that you need. So we have someone that's been running Amazon ads for quite some time, never run any Google AdWords campaigns. If you're good at running, or let's say if you understand, let's say, the general concept of Amazon advertising, can you also run Google AdWords, or do you need say, let's say a new person, a new skill set to run successful campaigns?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I would say someone that understands Amazon ads, there are many similarities. You'll see the same campaign ad group structure. You'll see very, very similar match types, broad phrase, exact negative, even broad match modifier now on both. So those things will be the same bidding mechanism, same auction type. So all of those things are the same. Making sure you're architecting the campaign and ad groups, architecture very well. That's the same on Amazon and Google. If you're going from Amazon to Google, you're going to very quickly realize just how deprived you've been on Amazon of data and analysis and speed. And so you're probably very pleasantly surprised when you move over to AdWords. Now there will be a learning curve because the UI is, I wish I could go back to the UI 6 versions ago where I knew it and understood where to get everything. It's pretty complex. And so there will be a learning curve figuring out where everything is. There's a lot more data to dive into. So you can find yourself not wasting time, but going down a rabbit hole of, well, let's look at the 3 a.m. hour for these auctioned insights and who am I fighting against and what was my impression share. So going that way from Amazon to Google, you'll see a lot of similarities, but there will be a bit of a learning curve just because there is so much more to do on AdWords and so much more bid adjustments, placement of where it shows up, all kinds of stuff. Going the other way, it's probably easier. People who are really good at AdWords can probably do Amazon pretty well, just because it's like AdWords baby brother. There's less to do.
Simplified version.
Yep, exactly.
So Amazon is the easy version, the little brother of AdWords.
Yep.
Okay, that's good. Brian, it's been 55 minutes. I always get you half an hour, but I have a hard stop, unfortunately, in 5 minutes. And we haven't touched the entire topic of Google SEO. So I think what we probably should do is just have another session in a couple of weeks, if that's fine for you, where we just talk about Google, but not the AdWords side, but maybe the organic side, right? Yes. So thank you very much for being our guest today, sharing all of this. A ton of very interesting questions. For you guys in the audience, I'm just launching a poll about this format, right? About, that's very helpful for us to get some feedback about how you like this episode, what kind of formats you prefer, whether you prefer to have expert panels or Q&A sessions or whatever it is, and also what kind of topics you want to hear about. So guys, if you do want to take 1 second or so to just answer the questions, that would be great and very helpful for us to guide to decide on what to do in the next sessions. There were still some questions from Baptiste specifically, and also other folks, I think, that we didn't get to. Brian, if people have questions, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so if you want to go to goamify.com, you can reach out there. Otherwise, find me on LinkedIn, Brian McDonald. I should show up somewhere on the first page, and message me, and I'll get those answered, because I know there's a lot of good questions that I have.
Yes, I mean, you can see that it's a topic that is quite that raises a lot of questions. So that's great. So goamify.com, and then Brian McDonald's on LinkedIn. That's the best way to reach Brian. If you do have any questions, so apologies for those guys where we couldn't take all the questions, but it's been a very heavy loaded discussion today. A lot of content. The feedback that we're getting on the poll is very good as well. So that's great. Thank you guys for your feedback, for your attention today. And then we'll tune in again next Thursday at the same time as always. We don't know yet exactly the topic for next Thursday, but we will let you know by email. There is a recording of this on YouTube. And then, thank you guys. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Brian, again, for your time and for sharing all your insights, and for also being a great partner of Sellics. I appreciate this. And let's stay in touch and bring you on board for Google SEO or organic Google in a few weeks again.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. See you around. Bye-bye, everyone.